Sustainability is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. As our awareness about becoming a sustainable nation increases, more businesses are embracing the sustainable or green concept. By using renewable materials, alternative forms of transportation, and smart design. In the process, these businesses become good stewards, community members, and leaders. 30 years ago, few extolled the virtues of going green. But now, communities across the country are not just building green, they are marketing sustainability as a way of life. A successful example of building a vibrant community based on the principles of sustainable planning is in Minneapolis. 20 years ago, the Minneapolis riverfront had fallen into disrepair. The huge mills, rail stations, and old buildings stood vacant. Like Airport South, this was prime real estate with amenities that few cities possessed. The challenge for the city was how to turn this diamond in the rough into a place where people wanted to live, work, and play.
I go back to my experience at the riverfront here, where now almost 30 years ago, there was a restaurant called Fujiya that was very much an urban pioneer. It was scary to walk there, but when you got there, it was this serene, beautiful place that overlooked the river, over the train tracks and over the homeless people and so on. But for people who visited that, it planted a seed about the possibility.
Over time, the desolate area morphed into a thriving, vibrant community.
It's a huge economic success. It's an environmental success. The river is much cleaner. We have parks down here. It's a social success, both in terms of how people use it now, but also the process. And it's an artistic and cultural and historic success. Keeping the bar high, having the city really work hard to say no to some things that don't fit so well. I mean, these are hard things to do, but holding that vision consistently and not let it, you can't let too many things go wrong before the whole thing starts to undermine, in my view.
The seed of possibility bloomed into the riverfront district. The century-old buildings gave the area a distinct personality because they were reused. The old mill ruins were transformed into the Mill City Museum. The Stone Arch Bridge became part of the Grand Round Scenic Byways, and new residential neighborhoods now line the banks of the Mississippi River. The combination of outdoor recreation, dining, and nightlife has revitalized the riverfront district. But this transformation did not occur overnight. It took several decades before the vision was established. The vision contained 4 essential components, including social, economic, cultural, and environmental.
And it's the combination of all 4 that really make a successful strategic approach towards sustainable objectives. And as soon as you pull one of the 4 legs out, the stool becomes kind of wobbly. So, you really need to evaluate objectives or sustainable aspirations relative to each of those 4 components, and each of them need to kind of work in concert with each other and support each other, and not, if something is simply economically driven, then the other 3 components suffer. It's trying to strike the balance and understand the balance between the 4 components that is, I think, really key to sort of this next generation of sustainable, successful sustainable planning.
The city of Bloomington is faced with a similar challenge in one key development area. Unlike the urban riverfront district in Minneapolis, this district in East Bloomington is far from being down on its luck. The district is bordered by I-494 to the north, Highway 77 to the west, and the Minnesota River to the south and east. City officials are in the process of preparing a district plan. This plan will guide future land use, transportation, urban design, and redevelopment of this important commercial and employment center. The goal is to take advantage of the district's unique location between the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, the Minnesota Valley National Wildlife Refuge, and the Mall of America, and transform it into an exciting mixed-use urban center. Sustainable urban concepts have been realized in other communities such as Reston Town Center in Virginia, Addison Circle in Texas, and the Atlantic Station in Atlanta, Georgia, to name a few. The four goals are: build on the district's unique mix of assets, transform the district's densities and character from suburban to urban, accelerate the district's development, and establish and promote the district as a branded place emphasizing sustainability, quality, safety, and comfort. McGuff Company saw the potential in 2001. They unveiled plans for the innovative Bloomington Central Station project.
And while working with other designers from across the country, while working with the City of Bloomington, we really came together to collaborate and create a plan that really complemented the transit and the existing benefits such as the airport, the Mall of America, and the Wildlife Refuge. So by doing that, we came together with a very high-density master plan transit-oriented development that will incorporate future housing to generate the life and the activity in the evening and complement the office that already exists in this area by introducing more office, again, to complement the use of the public investment in the transit system.
We will highlight 5 Bloomington businesses who have invested heavily in green and sustainable practices, and 2 businesses outside the area to show why the district wants to attract companies, homeowners, and renters who find this approach to living attractive. Rising energy costs not only concern homeowners but business owners as well. While you can't control the price of oil or gasoline, you can design your workplace to be more energy efficient. 2 Market Point is an 8-story office building located at 4400 West 88th Street. The building received a LEED certification. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design.
So one of the things that we're really pleased about is that this building is the first spec building in the Minneapolis region that has floor-to-ceiling glass, that has an underfloor air delivery, which allows everyone to have immediate access to control the volume of air at their own workspace. That has a huge importance, obviously, in keeping people happy. You know, are they too hot? Are they too cold? Since everyone is on their own internal temperature. And then obviously the indirect direct pendant lights are also a feature that you see in some nice corporate buildings, but typically haven't been in speculative office environment. So we felt very strongly that we were trying to push the envelope of what we've seen here in this region.
C.B. Richard Ellis, a real estate brokerage company, found Ryan's commitment to sustainable building admirable and attractive.
Well, as we looked at the building, we knew that some of the things that Ryan would put into the building would add to their initial cost for the building. So we had to look at a situation where we were going to pay a slight premium in rent as we looked at the things that we wanted to accomplish. Our feeling is that that slight premium in rent is broadly offset by both the sustainable nature of the building, the fact that we use materials and that sort of thing from nearby, but also by just the pure cost of the utilities. And with the cost of utilities doing what it has recently, we think that our guess was a good one, and we think that the investment is going to be a good one for Ryan. We think we can occupy this space less expensively on the whole by the time you add it all together than we could have another space.
Sustainable building materials and fitting in with the natural area next door were McGuff's goals at Reflections, located along Bloomington Central Station's LRT stop. The 2 glass-enclosed buildings are unique to the district.
The aspects of the building that are LEED certified deal with a lot of the internal air quality, the natural exposure to natural sunlight from the outside, and a lot of the efficiencies of the mechanical systems for the building, and then also just the general way the building has been managed for an ongoing purposes.
Steve Flagg, president and founder of Quality Bicycle Products, located at 6400 West 105th Street in Bloomington, has long been an advocate of environmental stewardship. When it was time to expand his physical plant, he was going green and going for the gold.
And then when we had the opportunity to add on to this building, we decided that we would go for the gold in terms of the LEED certification process. And employees were very supportive, and you know, we give 6% of our profits back to the employees in terms of bonuses. And so it was clear that by doing this, we possibly could impact the bonus sharing program with them. And yet people were pretty strong and pretty passionate and willing to do this.
QBP installed a 40-kilowatt solar panel array on its roof, purchased office furniture and carpeting made from recycled materials. The company staff has managed to reduce solid waste by 25%. The power of nature is being used at the 12.5-acre campus of Great River Energy in Maple Grove. A wind turbine turns wind into electricity, as does the photovoltaic solar panel roof. Together, they generate 15% of the building's annual power use. Sensors control water use. A 20,000-gallon cistern collects rain and snowmelt from the roof and puts it back to use through the plumbing. A separate pond collects rainwater for irrigating the landscape site. Great River Energy uses 90% less water than a standard corporate campus, saving 1.6 million gallons of water every year. A geothermal heating and cooling system operates in the lake behind the building. Buying local is another important element of sustainability. This applies not just to building materials, but also to the food we consume every day. The Hotel Sofitel has been practicing this approach to food preparation for years. Influenced by French cuisine, which stresses fresh and local ingredients. The executive chef creates dishes with exquisite taste and with food products that are purchased locally.
It's always good for people just to know that it's something that's coming from Minnesota, having in their plate. They understand it better. It's also better for the environment too. Reducing the carbon footprint, as we say. If I buy some locally grown pork, as we do, instead of shipping it from all over the States, it's just, a few miles from here. So you have less gas usage, less trucks. It's a local product, and everyone have their share. So it always made sense to look for products that are here just at your, at your doorstep, because you can have a direct contact with your suppliers, because you can see what you're buying. If you have a problem, you can always speak to the people that are producing and try to fix issues.
Keeping as much construction waste as possible out of area landfills was the goal of Ryan Companies.
We actually have 10% of all of our materials are both extracted and processed locally. That includes the steel, much of the concrete, and the glass. So that's a majority of our building prototype. In addition, we actually promoted a significant amount of recycled materials on site, which is about 20%, and we reused materials on site, including the concrete, so we were able to divert 95% of our construction waste from the landfill, and that's over 10,000 tons of material.
The Mall of America is one of the largest shopping malls in the U.S. Since it opened its doors in 1992, the Mall of America has been committed to doing the green thing. The facility boasts of being the greenest building in the shopping center industry. According to officials, 55 to 60% of waste generated by the mall bypasses the landfill.
Mall of America's Recycling Center has really evolved since the mall opened in '92. We found ways to get about 7 or 8 different items out of our system, which includes glass, plastic, cardboard, paper products, waste oil from the food courts, and a tremendous amount of food waste that would normally be diverted into landfills.
The food that is thrown away in the restaurants doesn't end up rotting away. It has a new life as food for these hogs.
We have the restaurants in the facility save the food, which is either from non-eaten, not used, or just stuff that's been prepared and kept in the kitchen, to put that into separate containers for us. Then we bring it down here to the dock every day, and the farmer comes down from up in Oak Grove and takes all this food back to his livestock, then he'll cook it and refeed it. It does a couple things. It saves us some tremendous costs in hauling that heavy material, in which we do between about 110 to 150 tons a month. And in the very busiest months of December and January, things like that, November, December, January, we can do almost 200 tons of food waste program material that's diverted. It works out really well for us. Plus, it's just environmentally a real conscious thing to do. Gets to save him some food, save him having to have extra land to grow materials on to feed his livestock. So for us, it's really a great thing.
And the mall's recycling efforts doesn't stop there.
Last year, through the two balers down here on the loading dock, we recycled almost 6,000 tons of cardboard alone. We've been using recently the waste oil from the food courts we've been giving to a supplier who's blending it and turning it into biodiesel, which we're finding a way to feed back into our own diesel pickup trucks. We're always looking for ways to utilize some of our waste to do different things with. We save all the steel, aluminum, and things from construction at Mall of America. That all gets reused, goes to the steel mills, to however they refine it to use it over again. The aluminum cans, the bottles over there, as much as we can try to divert out of the system is better for us and better for the environment.
For years, Americans have had a love affair with the automobile. But with increased fuel cost and concern for the environment, the relationship is cooling down. People are considering alternative modes of transportation.
1, 2, 3.
The Hiawatha Light Rail Transit line rolled into Bloomington on December 4, 2004. The first rail transit in the metro area originates in Minneapolis and terminates at the Mall of America. It is a popular form of transportation for some residents who live near the line.
For me, I lived in Shakopee before this, so commuting to downtown was almost torture. It was a good hour drive one way, and so to be able to hop on the light rail and go downtown in a quick 30-minute ride, even on the busiest days or in the worst weather, it's completely changed the amount of time I have to devote to other things like nonprofit organizations and other commitments outside of this.
I go to my work at the airport in 6 minutes flat. I'm driving less than half what I used to drive for that work. It is also just my capability of taking care of my interior design clients is much easier. I have a great space to work out of my home. I have a great central location. My life has completely changed from where I used to live before, and it's changed because of the convenience.
In 2008, 10.2 million people rode the LRT, and 71.6 million rode Metro Transit buses. The addition of the Cedar Avenue Bus Transit will add another transit option. The Cedar Avenue corridor connects Lakefield to Bloomington. A bus rapid transit system operates on existing roadways just like a regular bus, but has the advantage of bus-only lanes and enhanced stations to achieve frequency and similar speed to light rail. A strong public transportation system is critical, but sometimes you want to walk to your destination. Grand Avenue in St. Paul exemplifies the walkable community trend. The appeal is the proximity of residential to commercial elements and accessible, convenient transportation.
For me, I kind of see a unique synergy of residential and commercial business. At the same time, people that have kind of bought into this concept of downtown living in a suburban environment, and hopefully a nice mix of both first-time young professional homebuyers like myself and people that are kind of on the second leg of downsizing and retiring. It's a nice mix of personalities, and at the same time, being able to have the closeness to the Mall of America, having more commercial shops are just going to make it that much more successful.
I come from the East Coast, and I know that most East Coast cities have grown up around public transportation. And you'll notice if you're flying over, that you can tell where the metro stops are or the subway stops by the mushroom of buildings right around those areas. So it can happen here. It has already happened all the way up Hiawatha line, but to have that concentrated small community right at one stop where you can pretty much do everything you need to do, it's superb.
Green infrastructure means strategically planned and managed natural wetlands, working landscapes, and other spaces that conserve the original ecosystem and provide benefits to human populations. In 2008, City of Bloomington crews gave Harrison Park, located at 1701 West 100th Street, a cutting-edge and sustainable upgrade. Gone is the old asphalt material, and in its place, a pavement that doesn't hold water. The porous asphalt and rock-based layers are designed to infiltrate stormwater and minimize runoff to nearby 9 Mile Creek. Crews also installed rain gardens where sections of the old parking lot remain. In the past, developers and cities paid little attention to stormwater management. But now, coming up with creative and innovative approaches to stormwater management is the norm.
The thing that's changing about the way we deal with stormwater is we used to think about the rain falling out of the sky as a detriment to our sites. Now we're starting to think about rainwater as a resource. So we're not only collecting it and hopefully infiltrating or dealing with it in a much more ecologically responsible way, but in a lot of cases we're stepping back to ways that people would deal with stormwater before we had pipes coming from water towers distributing to the houses. People are using rain barrels, cisterns as a way of collecting water, harvesting water, so we're actually reusing on our sites for irrigation. In some cases, actually reintroducing that water through a gray water system in a building where rainwater can be used to flush toilets.
Commercial adhesive manufacturer H.B. Fuller Company settled into its corporate offices in Venice Heights. The campus is nestled in a 258-acre site, which is also home to a nature preserve. Fuller's goal was to solve its stormwater management issue, but not detract or harm the environment. So they turned to LHB to create a unique solution.
So all of our water would sheet flow into that parking lot and be infiltrated there. We did the same thing on the south end of our building where we have roof runoff and so forth goes into a pond in our prairie. And it not only deals with stormwater in a way that is very sensitive to our site and ecologically friendly, but it also enhances the site for wildlife.
H.B. Fuller found that their wetland-style parking lot with the infiltration basins reduced runoff by 74%.
We were very, very excited about that. And it's about 55,000 cubic feet of water that it infiltrated in that parking lot compared to the traditional one. We also found out that the particulates that land on that parking lot are greatly reduced by 94%, which was about 500 pounds in a season. And the phosphorus loading was also reduced, and that was reduced by 70%. So significant reduction in the types of materials that you are concerned with coming off of parking lots.
A green infrastructure is also important to the Minnesota Valley National Wildlife Refuge. This 1,460-acre wonderland is home to magnificent wildlife, and it occupies more than half of the district.
I think from the standpoint of green space in the Airport South District, but also green space provides an opportunity to help support wildlife that is found on the refuge within the Airport South District. But it also helps us manage some of our major issues like stormwater. On the refuge here we have a rain garden, which is proposed under the Green Space Initiative to manage stormwater. So we see that again in conjunction with the refuge, very supportive of the functioning of the refuge.
The ability to choose where to live, what form of transportation to use, where to dine, play, and spend our money are important. And for any community to be attractive, there has to be a variety of choices. Hospitality is a major industry in Bloomington and has provided employment opportunities for many. The venerable retail complex, the Mall of America, employs thousands of workers, as does Health Partners and Ceridian. But this is just the beginning of the employment opportunities the district will create. New housing which will address the needs of residents from first-time homebuyers to the couple who wants to downsize to those who need affordable and safe apartments. Environmental pioneers will provide the polish to make the district shine like the diamond it is. All it takes is an unwavering commitment to the 4 goals of green and sustainable living: social, cultural, economic, and environmental. Xcel Energy is one of those partners. Environmental leadership means that as we provide energy services to our customers, we will pursue clean energy innovation, transforming how energy is provided. Xcel Energy is excited to partner with the City of Bloomington and other stakeholders to pursue the vision of the district.
I think the commitment that they've made to the mass transit system with the light rail is definitely going to be something in terms of sustainability that is going to give more buyers confidence and certainly given me confidence with that as they've committed to continue to build.
I think if you look across this district, in 20 years, Bloomington will be seen as a real visionary community for developing a sustainable district with a series of uses, including the Mall of America, that really typify what can happen in a large-scale evolution towards a sustainable pattern.
28 years ago when I started working in Minneapolis, I would never have dreamed I'd live in East Bloomington. So here's East Bloomington, and it's a prime location.
Bloomington's in an extraordinary position right now, and that is that they are taking a breath, and they're taking an opportunity to ask themselves, you know, is this the best that we can do? And if we need to do more, and we can envision a brighter future for our community and the next generation of political and social and business leaders, then now's the time to do it. And I think that is it's an extraordinary time to imagine the possibilities.